And here we go. I'm live across Facebook, it looks like right now. And we're cutting through. And I'll get my things ready. There we go. Yep, YouTube's in.
Awesome.
And it's just finalizing. Looks like Periscope always goes up last. But hopefully it'll be up here soon. All right, let me try this one.
I believe.
Great. Hello and welcome to your SteelerNation.com podcast, sponsored by Total Sports Enterprises. I'm your host, G.Stryker, and with me today, when she is not being the host of the Yinzhers Podcast and when she's not hosting our podcast right here, we have, again, Jordan DeFigio. Jordan, welcome back to our show.
Hello, thank you. It's good to be here.
No worries, no worries. And the first thing I want to shoot over to people quickly is the current giveaway that we have going on with our partners at Total Sports Entertainment. Shoot it over here on to share everybody here on YouTube, or everybody who's watching it here on Facebook or Periscope, everybody live. This is the giveaway for a signed Minkah Fitzpatrick Color Rush jersey. So to win this, you have to follow the Yinzhers Podcast at YINZHERS and at Total Sports ENT, and just retweet the post. We're going to announce the winner tomorrow. So good luck, Steeler Nation. Get out there, retweet this to win this signed Minkah Fitzpatrick jersey. You can also go over to the website directly at tseshop.com and purchase your own signed Minkah Fitzpatrick jersey if you weren't the lucky winner. So you've got some options, Steeler Nations, and thank you very much to Total Sports Enterprises for providing this fun stuff for us as always. We've got a little bit of news going on. I know it's been a little bit light, but the first thing I at least wanted to share with everybody is a little bit of good news. I like to start with the good news because this time of the year, we know it's not going to be super impressive for us. So happy birthday to Ben Roethlisberger. I forget how old you are, but you're old now.
39. He's 39.
39 years young.
Yep.
Thank you very much. That's why I have a co-host that knows the information. I just pop up fun visuals. And so that was the big news, at least that they pushed out, except for something that just came across the wire. Some of you fans that have Twitter and follow the Steelers might be aware of this, but some of you may not, and I got to bring up my notes because it's in my notes. It is Trey Edmonds was reading to students in the Pittsburgh area today as part of the Read Across America Day. And when he was finished reading, he had some exciting news for the kids. They were all going to get their own books because Trey, who's obviously one of our running backs, along with his safety brother Terrell that's on our team, and Bills linebacker Tremaine just released their own kids' book. It's called My Brother's Keeper, What This Means to Me by E-Boys, and it provides a positive message for the kids. So thank you very much to the Edmonds brothers for going out, helping out the community, letting everybody know what's going on, and at least, having some inspirational messages for the Bills, Steelers fan base, and children in general.
So wholesome. You just love to see it.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
Yeah.
Now, this is really janky for me today. Like, I've got 3 things sitting in different spots, but back to Twitterverse, we've got some kind of bad news, at least the first bad news I'm going to share, and we're going to start talking about this stuff, Jordan, is James Conner's Twitter site. And one thing it says, it's already written at the top. If you notice, if you've been following James Conner, when you go to his site, his banner, his background is always black and gold, always Steelers. Now it is blank. It is black, unfortunately, with no gold. And it looks like the writing is on the wall, and he is already said that it's written. So what do you think, Jordan? What do you think this message means?
Well, I'm going to be completely honest. This is my least favorite part or side of social media. whenever people tweet really cryptic nonsense just for a reaction, because you, especially with athletes, that they know people are going to see it.
Yeah.
And like JJ Watt was trolling hard. And I know we're going to talk about that in a minute, but like all of the back and forth with the giving information, but not really saying anything at all. This is what drives me crazy, because it really feels like we don't need to know as fans, reporters, spectators, whatever, what's going on yet, because nothing's really happening. And so for them to like give us little crumbs just to start this bizarro speculation and like the will he re-sign here, won't he re-sign here kind of thing, like it just drives me crazy. I have no idea what that means. So all that to say, I don't know. I really wasn't expecting him to come back, because he's probably going to be too expensive for the Steelers given their cap situation.
Yeah.
And it's not like he's a bad running back. He has areas that he needs to improve in for sure, but he's shown signs that he can be a really solid back. And I think he's going to want more than the Steelers are going to be able to give him. And he shouldn't be their priority, especially with the running backs that are going to be available to them in the draft. As much as I love James Conner, his jersey's freaking hanging on my wall. Like, I love the guy, and I would love
he is
to see him
Pittsburgh.
come
I mean,
back.
he's all three: high school, college, pro. I mean, he is the ultimate. He is Pittsburgh, and especially coming back from cancer is a huge story and a big reason why his jersey was such an epic sales as soon as the Steelers drafted him. I mean, his jersey sold his rookie year like he was a first round draft pick.
Yeah.
So that's how much he meant to Pittsburgh. You know, and I understand that we don't have to know, but unfortunately, we're also in a situation where speculation is part of our job.
Oh yeah, and that's the thing, we want to know, but it's the like putting it out there without putting anything out there that is what drives me crazy, because it's really just trying to stir the pot. And I have very low tolerance for stirring the pot for the sake of stirring the pot. But I really was hopeful last off season that there would be a circumstance that would come up that would allow us to sign him again. It just doesn't, it doesn't seem likely. And there are way too many free agents or guys who are about to become free agents, I think, for him to get priority.
Yeah. I think James Conner's only path back to Pittsburgh is once he enters the free agent market, there's really no market for him. If no one jumps on him, if nobody wants to give him an $8 million a year or $10 million a year contract, and he's sitting and sitting and sitting, we go past the draft, he's still there. That's a possibility of him returning, but that also would have to go hand in hand if the Steelers don't draft a running back high in the draft, day one, day two. So we will have to see how this plays out. But, you know, it's my speculation, and I think he's kind of insinuating that his days may be coming to an end here in Pittsburgh. On to another tweet that I'd like to share is one from my favorite, one of the favorites here of SteelerNation.com, Zach Banner. And Zach Banner said, locking it down on social media until my new contract is signed. So he is doing exactly what Jordan said to do. Don't play the game on social media. So he's not.
Zach.
Yes. But at least when we talked with him last time on the show, Zach stated he was acting like he's a Steeler. I mean, he of course accepted the podcast really quickly when I was speaking with his agent. And so it was great to have him back on the show. And he was always like, well, this is going to happen this year. We're excited for this. We're excited to be moving forward. He's talking as a Steeler. He's going to find a way to be on this team because he knows he's a starter on this team. And we need him.
Absolutely. And if
absolutely need
him. There was no way that after getting injured in the first game of the season, like first quarter of the season, there was really no reason to think that he would go somewhere else, because this was going to be his first year as a starter on our line. So it would be really, really risky and stupid for him to try to go out and see if he could make more money elsewhere, because he still needs that full season of experience, I think, in order to be able to kind of have that clout with or surrounding him.
Yes.
And honestly, I know that he just appreciated that the Steelers were finally believing in him and giving him that chance.
Yes.
So that there was no real reason, or there weren't any signs that indicated that he was looking for greener pastures, because he knows that he wants to stay here and see what he can do here. And honestly, this is a total sidebar, but I think it's been said between us on here before, like, I don't know if our offensive line is as bleak as people are talking like it is, because when he comes back, they slide Dotson in. Like, they're only a center and maybe one other key piece away from having a major upgrade already on the line. Yeah. So I'm glad that it seems like he's coming back. I love that guy. And I think that he's just such a great personality around the team and around the city. I love following him. I love watching him. And hopefully this upcoming season he'll be able to stay healthy and really leave his mark on the field.
I agree. And one thing I just wanted to add, though, also was that Juju Smith-Schuster did reply to that tweet from Zach Banner, and his reply was, "Wish I could get one, ... So
here we go again.
We do too.
Yeah.
Because we obviously we don't know where Juju's going to sign either, but I think Juju is a more of a high priority free agent. There's definitely people understand his value across the league, whether they have another number one receiver or another 1A, 1B situation, how they want to do it. Juju will help out any receiver core he becomes a part of, both with his blocking, his leadership, his hard work, and just giving his body to make the tough catches across the middle of that big slot. That's just something that a lot of people aren't willing to do in this league. So all the best to Juju. And he's one of the few people, I don't know about you, but I expect Juju to have a good career if he leaves Pittsburgh. And he's one of the few people that have left Pittsburgh that still have a lot of time in front of him that I'm really rooting for. I want him to do well. Just because he's such a good person, great for the community, great family. You guys know the mom. And so, you know, that's the stuff that excites me about him. I mean, honestly, too, James Conner, I want to see him blow up somewhere too.
Just that would be great.
He's the city, but wish he could do it here. Hopefully he can find a way back, but I'm not holding my breath on either stance there. Moving forward, we're looking at the cap now, guys. We're about there's a report that came out that we are 15.5 under. My numbers are closer to 13.8 million under the cap. So, you know, depending on which website you're using right now, I'm using a Spotrac. But, you know, I think Over the Cap has them at 15.5, but Spotrac to me seems to be a little bit more up to date, and you can actually see how they do all their math at the bottom. So it makes more sense to me. But the biggest move, they've got to get under 15.5 million, find that money. And right now that money is kind of tied up in one person, and that's Ben Roethlisberger, who's the elephant in the room. And Bob Labriola of Steelers.com reported that Art Rooney too discussed it with Ben in the contract situation. And he said, we have to be clear that we would like him back, but we needed to do something with the contract. We're getting to that point right now where the time is right. We have a better idea of where the salary cap is going to be, which is an important component of the decision. Hopefully we'll work something out before that. But certainly, if you want to say there's a hard deadline, March 17th is that hard deadline. Yeah. And it's because March 17th is the start of the new year. And it's the start that you have to be cap compliant by, I think, either 4 p.m. or 5 p.m. Eastern time.
Yeah.
to finish off, so everybody's compliant. So, what is that message? Is that a veiled message for you, or is that just essentially just stating fact, in your opinion, Jordan?
I think it's just stating fact, and I think it's hammering home to Ben Roethlisberger, like, if you really want to play here, you're going to have to take a significant pay cut to do it. And we saw with JJ Watt, he was talking like his biggest priority and team that he signed with was Super Bowl contender, but then he ended up going to the Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah.
And not saying that they're that far away, or even like that the Steelers are closer to Super Bowl contention, because that depending on the angle that you take with that argument, you could say that they're kind of in the same spot, but he took the money over the potential ring, because money tends to speak louder than anything else. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens, because of course Ben wants to come back and play, but does he want that more than the money that he would have, like, is he really willing to take that big of a pay cut to come back? And I don't know, we'll see. I really don't think that was anything. I don't think there were like hidden messages in there. I don't think the Rooneys do that. I think they just they don't lay it all out on the table. They're honest without full disclosure. And they're just basically saying, this is our situation. Everybody knows the situation, and we will have it figured out by this date, hopefully sooner, but this is where everybody stands, and that's all you need to know.
Yeah. And that's the big thing, because it puts a little bit of pressure, not necessarily on Ben, but on Ben's agent. And it lets the agent know, hey, if we don't have a deal signed on March 17th, we have to cut you to get cap compliant, because cutting Ben saves $19 million, and he's owed a roster bonus. He's got a $15 million roster bonus on the first day of the year, or the second day or the third day of the year. So they'd need to get that bonus off of the books before working out a deal. I mean, they could cut him first day of free agency and then re-sign him, but then, Ben can sign with whoever he wants. I mean, it's not to say he wouldn't get he'd get a much bigger dollar amount from anybody else that wanted to throw money at him for a single year, but that's up to him whether he wants to start in a new location or whether he wants to come back and do that. So this is worst case scenario that I just talking about here, but something to consider. And to your point too about JJ, you were spot on about that, Jordan. Also, like, it feels to me like going to the Arizona Cardinals, it's kind of like, hey, JJ, you're kind of staying on this. It's like you've never left the Houston Texans. It's like you still have that mobile young quarterback that can make plays downfield with Kyler Murray, much like you had with Hopkins. And or not Hopkins, who the freaking Watson. Yes, thank you.
Hopkins is the wide receiver.
Switched. From the one team to the other. So I mean, don't get me wrong, Cardinals have a lot of talent on the roster, and I think they can be a very good team. They're in a very tough division. They have to go up against San Francisco. They have to go up against Seattle and the Rams every year. So it's really difficult to advance to the playoffs when you have 3 playoff caliber teams within your division, whereas Houston, you had Indy, and Indy is in a quarterback rotation every year, so you have a chance of knocking them off. It's not like they were the big ones. Jacksonville's trying to figure out how to play football or whether they're going to stay in this country, and and
they have a lot going on.
Whoever the third one is in that division, who am I missing? You got Houston, Tampa Bay, Indianapolis in the South. Oh gosh. Oh, Tennessee, which is a great team. They're a fantastic team. Yeah. So in that division, you'd be shooting for wild card at best. And in my opinion, just the way that Vrabel's put that team together. How could I forget Tennessee? They're an excellent team. So once again, I'm with you on that. For, the Rooneys know what they're doing. They're getting out the information the right way, being honest about it. to let the Steeler fans know, hey, you know, the most that the Steelers can save off of Ben Roethlisberger's money this year is 19 million, and that's from cutting him. That 42 can only get cut down 19 million. That's it. Yeah, so thanks. Yeah, so if you're trying to get cap compliant, maybe they do a $19 million signing bonus to give him all that money up front, and then spread it out over a 4-year contract where they're just going to say he's going to make $25 million a year for the next 4 years, but salary, and they're all salaried, and salary's null and void. If you cut a player, it's gone. Yeah. If they retire, it's gone. So the only thing that they'd have to pay is that, you know, just shy of $5 million per year for the next 3 years off the salary cap is dead cap space. And that is manageable. That's very manageable, much more manageable than the 23 million that we're talking about this season. Yeah. And at least spreading it out whereas the Steelers have a lot of cap space moving forward with the lack of a franchise quarterback. So that's the way that works. And at least, you know, my only dream, I don't know if you have a dream in free agency, Jordan. Is there a dream player that you'd ever want to pick up in free agency this year? If anybody across the league.
Free agency, I feel like.
Or a trade.
I feel like the biggest name, obviously, would be Dak Prescott.
Ooh, that's a good name. That's a good
name. I feel like he's hungry for a team. I mean, not, you know, this is a dream. This is a pipe dream.
Yeah.
But he's proven himself to be a franchise quarterback, and he wants a team who's going to put the right kind of guys around him to win, and he also wants to get paid. So that's why it's a dream, because again, we couldn't pay him.
Yeah.
However, I also wouldn't be super upset about Aaron Jones because, you know, the Steelers need a significant upgrade in the run game. And that seems a little bit more plausible still with the cap situation. It's, you know, out there, but he's just a beast. And it's tricky whenever you start talking about bell cow type running backs like that who are only getting older and have played in the league for a handful of years already. So that, you know, that takes its toll on a player as well. But I think that looking at all the other names in free agency, it's a lot of defensive players. And I think that it would behoove the Steelers more to put their money into Mike Hilton and Cam Sutton, and maybe even finding a way to keep Bud Dupree, which is another dream. Yeah, but tough. That like keeping, and Alex Highsmith will be fine. I'm not worried about it, but like keeping the guys on their defense, like they don't need to fill holes on the defense. They just need to find a way to keep it intact.
Yeah.
The way that it is. And so that's what I would say. Either dream, pipe dream, Dak Prescott, still a pipe dream, but a little bit more realistic, Aaron Jones.
So my pipe dream is Russell Wilson from Seattle. And the reason why I actually crunched the numbers. And since if the Steelers did a trade for Russell Wilson, they wouldn't have to pay his signing bonus. All that stuff was done years ago. That's all stays on as dead cap for Seattle. But obviously he's really unhappy with being there. Seems like Seattle's starting to sour on him and they're taking trade offers. So this year, Russell Wilson would only cost $19 million on your cap. Next year, he'd only cost $24 million. Year 3, he'd cost $27 million. So very, very, very affordable for a franchise quarterback.
He's good.
Yeah. His interception to touchdown ratio is off the charts. And he is one of the most accurate passers in the NFL. He's 70% passer. So for me, bang for the buck, 3-year contract, I try to make that work. The only problem is Ben already counts 19 against the cap and we're 15 over. So we'd have to find a way to squeeze blood from a stone to get under and to be able to find the other $5 million wiggle room to sign the draft pick. So it gets difficult. I mean, maybe you sign him and then you do an extension with him so you can spread out some of his payroll. It's possible because Steelers love doing that to try to stay under the cap. And it's the only reason why they're not is because it shrinks. Now for free agency, I wanted to show one other cool thing to you here, Jordan. And for all of you watching us on our sources on YouTube, our YouTube channel, our Facebook, and our Periscope as well on Twitter. There is a tweet that was put out by Jason from Over the Cap. One of my favorite websites also too for following Over the Cap, for following salary caps and contracts and working all those things out. But one of the things, he put together a chart here looking at the impact of free agent spending on team performance from 2017 to 2020. And interestingly, he did it to kind of throw shade at the Jets, because on the vertical column is your record. How high up you are on the sheet is how good your team is, how many wins you have in those 4 years. How far you go to the right is how much money you spend in free agency. The Jets are all the way to the right, and so are the Bills, but Bills at least are a winning team, and now they're making the playoffs. Jets are a dumpster fire. Detroit. So you got your common people down here. Jacksonville, Detroit, Cleveland, though Cleveland's just starting to show some earnings coming through now, and the Raiders are always down there too. But the Steelers, being far, far to the left, they have spent way less than the rest of the league in free agency. And with their situation this year, they're going to spend even less money. So this is going to be a really odd year for free agency for the Steelers. Getting Ben under the cap as much as possible just to be able to try to plug some holes before the draft like they like to do. Because you've got a lot of holes to plug. You're looking at tackle, you're looking inside linebacker, you're looking at outside linebacker, you're looking at center, you've got a tight end that just left the team. I mean, you've got a lot of holes that need filled on this team.
Yeah.
So it's going to be really interesting to see the way that the Steelers figure out how to plug these holes and make a competitive team moving forward before you hit the draft. Otherwise, we're going to be plugging holes in the draft. This might be a year that we plug holes in the draft.
It's possible. And it's not like it's outside the realm of possibility that they could really address some of their biggest needs through the draft. Like, I don't know. I could see that working out very well in their favor.
This being a draft that's so thick for linemen, this is supposed to be one of the best lineman draft in a decade. It's perfect for the Steelers because we need linemen and we need a lot of them. So tackle, center, getting those quickly, as well as a good running back. If the right running back falls to the Steelers and they make that pickup, I'm all for it.
Yep.
Otherwise, I understand what they have to do to get cap compliant and all the other maneuvering that they need to do to make sure that they can.
They're the brains. That's why we let them deal with it.
That's true. That is definitely true.
They'll figure it out. So
now we're finally at the point of the show where we enter questions from Steeler Nation. So I like that we're having a lot of feedback today on YouTube, and actually it's probably because I just pulled it off of the whole restream. Nope, I'm surprised that Facebook is so quiet today. Yeah, Facebook is quiet today, but we've got Arizona won't make it a Super Bowl. Trey Burton could be a cheap pickup to replace Vance. Thank you very much, Yinz Nation Sport there on YouTube, for telling us Ebron deserves a chance. Joey, I'm with you. I think Ebron's going to be on the team unless he has to be cut as a cap casualty to free up $6 million. But I think Steelers need his skill set at least coming out of there. But now we're at the point too, Jordan, where we're starting to field questions from Steeler Nation. Steeler Nation Forum, log on over there, guys, and you can ask questions to Jordan and myself, and we love answering them. So first one's from Drink Iron City. What is the absolute league minimum Ben Roethlisberger could sign for? And that is for league minimum. That would be about 1.1 or 1.2 million, I think, with his veteran status currently. Because right now his base pay is 4 million. I know his bonus is 15. So, legally under the rules, it's 1.2, I believe, for league minimum for a 10-year vet. I think it's 8 years is what they utilize for the maximum vet contract. But I'd have to look at those numbers specifically for this year, but it should be right around 1.2 million. Do you see the salary cap rising this year with the new TV deal? Right now, he says to 185. maybe to 193-ish. What do you see, Jordan, with the TV deal?
I don't know, because those numbers, all of that just goes right over my head, because I know that the league is making money off of that, but the league has to make money off of that. And that's going to be their priority, not dishing it out to the team so they can increase the cap. So I don't know. Ideally, with the Steelers situation, yes, of course, you would love to see the cap jump up that much. And I'm hopeful that it will, especially with Disney getting, they got Sunday Ticket, right?
I believe so. I'm not 100%.
That's huge.
I know that they were working on it. They wanted it. Yes.
Yeah. So
I at least know for the TV aspect that they did sign for was they re-upped for Monday Night Football. They are going to be in the rotation for the Super Bowl, and I believe they obviously have highlights rights so that ESPN can show highlights and things like that for the NFL. So that's all baked into part of their packages. Yeah, so I didn't see if the DirecTV deal was struck, or the streaming deal. It's not the streaming deal or the DirecTV. It's the deal that DirecTV has for exclusive rights to streaming every single game individually as part of their package. That's what that deal is. And I am not sure if that one has been awarded yet, because from the numbers that they gave specifically just for their TV package, did not look like that the DirecTV being the exclusive for every single team was part of that.
Okay.
Yeah. But I know that they're interested in it. I know that's part that they're talking about getting it for ESPN Plus, and it would be a big coup. And I'd just love for it to come off of DirecTV. I think it's time for DirecTV to die. And
it needs to go into the ground.
Yes. Nobody wants your package, and NFL is pretty much the only reason why DirecTV even exists right now. Yeah. So they better be throwing lots at them for this.
Yeah.
But for me, I think the cap will come up a little bit. I think 180 we know is the floor. I think 185 is probably going to be as high as we reach. I don't see it getting to 190.
Yeah, that seems like a stretch.
Yeah, I would love for it to go over 190, but I just don't see it happening this year, especially since they did take a couple $2 billion loss from not having fans in the stand last year. So there's a lot of money to make up from this past season. We still don't know if they're going to be able to do 100% capacity this season, or how it's going to work out yet. But hopefully we start getting a herd mentality here around summertime so we can start enjoying some Steeler games.
We're trending in that direction. States are starting to open things up again, very, very minimally, but I think it's not, we'll see. I don't want to jinx it, but yeah, hopefully.
And this is a question directed directly to you, Jordan, from Drink Iron City. DIC has a small hobby farm. Which tractor would you be more inclined to purchase? A would be a fully loaded bells and whistles Kubota 35 horsepower with a front end loader, or a Nortrac 35 horsepower, plain but simple enough to actually work on yourself with a front end loader.
That sounded like a totally different language to me.
It's basically, do you want to take the Kubota with the front end loader with all of the full package, or the Nortrac with the front end loader? And they're both the same horsepower. They're both at 35.
I tend to lean towards things that I can figure out, maintain, and fix myself. So I'd rather go with the more simple option, than the fancy one, because chances are it's just going to malfunction and really frustrate me. And if I'm out on a hobby farm, I probably don't really want to, have to deal with people coming out and fixing my stuff.
No doubt about it, though, DIC, the Nortrac would be the much cheaper price point. And if you have a hobby farm as opposed to a full usage farm, that's probably the way to go. But the one thing is that I know from experience from the farmers in our family that utilize the Kubotas, you buy a Kubota, you never have to worry about it. It is solid state, essentially, just it's as reliable as anything else. So, that's what you have to weigh.
Yeah.
But if you can work on it, it's no big deal. Work on it.
There you go.
Save yourself the bucks, because Kubotas are expensive. And Drink Iron City also likes to finish up with thank the two of you for doing these. I listen to them while eating supper. Cheers. So cheers to you.
Cheers.
Enjoy supper. Raise a glass to Drink Iron City and all Steeler Nation. Thank you very much, DIC. I'll see you over there at the SteelerNation.com forum. /Steel has some words for us as well. Jordan, you and Stryker seem to be cervezaphiles. Could you drink Stryker under the table?
No, absolutely not.
Well, I think that's probably with my drinking problem as the reason why a lot of people can't drink me under the table, though I am on week 3 of no drinking. So this is
good for you.
This is a extended record. Since COVID started, I was a 3-4 drink a day guy. And I got up over 200 pounds and just recently got back into the 180s. So
good for you. It takes a toll for sure.
Yeah, it does. It does.
Yeah.
And I'm trending in the right direction. I'm not making as many mental mistakes.
There you go. Yeah, it does that too. Yeah. I just have such a low tolerance, surprisingly, and so I have given up beer throughout the week, and that's really all I drink. I don't really care to drink anything else just because I enjoy beer so much.
Yes.
And I had my first beer on a Friday or Saturday, I think, and it was like a 7%er.
Ooh.
Immediately went to my head. I was like, oh my gosh. I took 1 week off. It wasn't even a week. It was like 4 or 5 days. And I'm already like, I need to sit down.
Yeah.
It's just my tolerance isn't great, which is unfortunate for me because I really love the double, triple New England hazies that tend to go up north of 9. Yeah. Yes. The milkshake IPAs. Oh my God.
Yeah. This time of year too, I'm a sucker for the dessert stouts, barrel aged stouts, the stuff that's like $25 a bottle. Cause I'm just an idiot like that, though I'm saving money now. This is nice.
Yeah. It helps all around. Seriously.
It definitely does. And, let's see. I'm not going to talk about the draft yet. This is still free agency month. March is free agency month for me, Steeler Nation. I'm going to take more of the draft questions once we hit April. I'll be rolling and hitting in. I'm just starting to do a little light draft work now. Jordan, here's a question for you. You are the GM and can only bring in one starter from free agency. What player are you targeting for the Steelers and why? I think that's kind of what we talked about a little bit, but I guess let's twist this a little bit and say you have one starter that you can bring back from the Steelers in free agency to keep.
Ooh, boy.
Right now, I'm just going to say we can't afford Juju. Yep. We can't afford Bud Dupree. We'd love to have them. So now we're talking about our lower
affordables.
Yeah, the affordables to bring back. Who is your priority? I mean, we got the cornerbacks. We got.
Yeah, I feel like it would have to be either Sutton or Hilton.
Yeah,
and they both have such distinctive and different skill sets that it's really freaking hard to make a choice between the two. For me, I've seen people on Twitter be able to differentiate enough and say, this is the guy I'd bring back. Some people really want Hilton. Some people really want Sutton. Yeah. I'm not at that place. I really want them to try to bring them both back. But for me, it would have to be one of those two because the Steelers secondary, their front seven is locked down. It's so solid. Even if we lose Bud Dupree, I think Alex Highsmith can really step in there.
Yeah.
But oh, dang. And our secondary was really where we struggled for the most part. We saw them kind of break down. It felt like they weren't all out of step in the same game, but it felt like there would be 1 week where Joe Hayden was really off. And then there would be another week where Steven Nelson was really off. And Minka was, it goes without saying, but I'm going to say it anyway. He sees very few targets because he's so freaking good. But that therefore means that he's quiet. So then you have to rely on the other guys to start making bigger plays because they're not throwing in his direction. So you have to, you can't be missing moments. And I think that having both Sutton and Hilton to kind of tighten up that secondary is going to be critical for them, because everything else they can kind of address, like we said, with the draft, like offensive line, running back potentially. And I think their wide receiver room is set. So the only other thing that they really need to be thinking about is quarterbacks, because they have 0 quarterbacks under contract past this season. So but I think I'm getting off topic. I think Sutton and Hilton, if I'm the GM, I'm doing whatever I can to get those 2 back.
I can't disagree with you at all there. And one thing that Steeler fans need to recognize too, with kind of like something that gets lost on the stat sheets, there were 2 pass breakups this season by Minkah Fitzpatrick that were game winners, that were at as the time expired in the end zone to win the game for the other team. Minkah Fitzpatrick knocked down 2 passes that would have won the game. So, he definitely is doing his work, and I'm with you there too. I mean, I'm personally team Hilton. I know other people are team Sutton. I mean, you got your what is it? The the one from Twilight, it's Team Edward or Team Jacob.
Oh, and yeah, that went right over my head because I didn't read those books.
Yeah, my wife read those books. We watched the movies. I was always Team Jacob. I never knew that he didn't have a chance, but wow. I just didn't like the actor that played Edward at the time. Now I think he's a phenomenal actor. Don't get me wrong.
Oh,
he is a phenomenal actor.
Yeah. Now that he's in things that are actually good,
not teeny.
Yeah,
but he was still as good as he could be for that type of thing.
Who knows?
Oh, somebody, Joey is asking what we want to think of Tom Brady disrespecting the Lombardi. I'm not super up on that, if he has, or what's going on with that.
There was like a whole thing in Tampa. They were on boats, and he like tossed the Lombardi over across a boat to Gronk.
Okay.
I'm not going to get too into it, but like, who the F cares? Like, do you see what guys do with the Stanley Cup when cameras are on them? Like, God almighty, I can't even imagine what they're doing in the privacy of their homes. Like that thing, I read Phil Bork's book last year, and he was talking about how it was at the bottom of swimming pools. He like unscrewed the top and wrote his name inside it. Like they're freaking trophies.
Yeah.
Like, who cares? It just seems like people are reaching to.
I mean, there's so many other reasons not to like Tom Brady, mostly because he's a cheater in life. Everybody's like, oh my gosh, this guy's amazing at 48 years old. I'm like, there's no way any 48-year-old man will be this good in the NFL without 3 letters, and that is H, G, and H. So that's my spin on that, because the guy has cheated before with footballs. He's cheated before with signals. This guy knows how to. Yeah. I mean, it's
tainted.
I'll never call him the best. I don't like the guy, but I'm not going to get it. I'm not going to get upset over him throwing Lombardi from one person to another across the boat, because we hear stories of like the Stanley Cup trophy, which is the only trophy. I mean, that Lombardi trophy, they get to keep it. That's their team trophy. They printed it for the team. So it's not like, but the Stanley Cup trophy is the only trophy, and you get your day with the cup. There's stories of it going over the balcony of the 3rd story into a swimming pool. I mean, everybody drinks from the cup when you've got parties. Yeah. The Stanley Cup trophy is honestly like no other trophy is like the Stanley Cup trophy.
Honestly, that's probably where COVID originated. Don't want to even think about what's crawling on that thing.
So that would have been the
let them have fun. God, they just want a freaking championship.
So the 2017, 2018 champ, was that the Capitals?
Yes, it was. And I don't think Ovi let it go for the first month that it was in Washington. Like, he carried that thing around like it was his firstborn child. Which I understand, because it just eluded him for so long. As a sidebar, my mind is just so on hockey because I'm amped to go to this game.
Yes. Yeah. Then we'll be talking about that very quickly. But The one thing that really killed me about the Capitals winning the cup, other than they're close and they're rivals of the Penguins, is I was no longer able to say my favorite joke to my Capitals friends. And my favorite joke was always, "Hey, did you ever go to a bar and order an Ovechkin?" And they go like, "What? What's an Ovechkin?" It's like, "Oh, it's a white Russian without a cup."
Oh, so good. So good.
And I just say it to all my diehard friends. They just be like, "Ah."
There was so much material there, and they really just had to rip it away from us.
They did.
But it was fun for them. Yeah. Like I respect them as rivals. It's not like Philly. I hope the Flyers never win another Stanley Cup, but it was fun to watch Ovi get his moment because he's a generational talent.
Yeah. Yes, BM, I do have Capitals friends. I live here in the Baltimore, Washington, D.C. area. I have Ravens friends. I worked for the Ravens. Ugh. I know people at the organization. So it's, you got to pick and choose how you live your life. But they all know I'm a Steeler diehard. I never wavered. Now, here's a quick story for you too, BM and Jordan, is back when I worked for the Ravens, when the Steelers would come and play, I'd take the day off. Is the only day I would not work for the Ravens because I'd show up in my black and gold gear and I'd go up and they couldn't stand it when I did it. And I'm like, hey, you're talking about 20 some years of ingraining branding with the Pittsburgh Steelers. That's not going away just because the Purple Crows came here to Baltimore. I was just happy that I got to see a home Steeler game in my own hometown because that's where nice. I went to school here at UMBC. I'm sporting my UMBC hockey shirt. And because we're getting to, it is March Madness time, and I am psyched because my team is the only team as a 16 seed to ever defeat a 1 seed, kicking the crap out of Virginia a couple years back. And the UMBC Retrievers are also up for winning the America East again this year. So they're the 1 seed of the America East for the tournament. They've got 2 games to play, one being Saturday right here in Baltimore area. So I'm going to be cheering on the Chesapeake Bay Retrievers and cheering on True Grit, who's the name of our mascot, to help us bring home our third appearance in the NCAAs. We never make the tournament. I've been to all 3 of them. Well, all 2 of them. I'm sorry. We've only been to 2, but if they make this one, I will try to figure out a way to make it to this one as well.
Good for you. It's better than Pitt has been in the last 5 to 10 years. So enjoy it.
Right. Yeah, and that's insane too, because Pitt's such a good conference, a good basketball program. You expect them to do. They
used to be great. Yeah. I don't know. We'll let Capel deal with it for a little bit longer and see what happens.
Yeah, and we agree with you, Joey. We don't like Brady either, so I think we're all in agreement. And 90% of Steeler Nation, I'd say, would agree with you as well. Yeah. So that's everything. I mean, I've got to get going here quickly today because Jordan is on her way for a very special Pittsburgh sporting event today. Jordan, tell our Steeler Nation what you are up to today.
I'm going to the first Penguins game open to fans since March 8th of last year.
Wow.
And I am just beside myself. I'm thrilled. I was doing my own podcast, Helmet Hair, yesterday, and I had a writer for The Athletic on, and he mentioned it at the beginning. He was like, yeah, did you hear the thing about Tom Wolfe saying capacity? And I was immediately on my phone Googling it, like, what's going on?
Yeah.
And then in the middle of the podcast, I got my automated text from the Penguins about how they were going to be opening it up to 15% capacity. So the last 24 hours have been a whirlwind because I was like, I have to go. Like, yes. I've been budgeting for this since the season started, basically, because I was like, as soon as they open it up to fans, I need to be there. This is my life.
Yes,
basically, is this team.
Yes,
and so it ended up working out that like the general public was going to be able to access single game tickets starting at 10 today. And it was looking very iffy on whether or not I could just get one ticket for myself. So I was like scrambling. I was texting everybody like, you want to go to the game tonight? I even texted my pilot brother in Florida and I was like, hey, use your benefits and fly up, come to the game. And he's coming up this weekend. We're all as a family going to go to
that's awesome.
Game against the Rangers. But season ticket holder on Twitter tweeted out about like, if anybody's looking for tickets, hit me up. and I was able to buy through just one ticket through him.
Awesome.
Before the general public sales started, and I actually got it for less than I was planning on spending. It was still a good amount, but I was like, this is it. This is it.
Nice. Another question, Penguins related for you, Jordan.
Mm-hmm.
Yins Nation Sport here asking, Double M has been getting on Gino. You think he can turn it around?
Yes. So touching a little bit more on the podcast episode I did yesterday, it'll actually be out tomorrow, but the writer, Josh Yohe, was saying that Malkin can be critical of his game, but whenever he makes predictions about his game or says he makes definitive statements, that's when you want to pay attention, because 3 weeks ago he was saying, I need to play better. My game isn't where I want it to be.
Yeah.
But after the game on Sunday, which was a shit show, he was saying, I can feel it. It's almost there. I'm about to find my game.
Yeah.
And it's shades of him when Crosby went out last season, where he said he had to be fire, and then he turned it up to another level completely. And incidentally, Sid is out tonight because he was placed on the COVID protocol list. So they're so vague in the NHL with stuff like that. So nobody knows if he was just like a close contact or if he is actually positive. But historically, Gino plays his best hockey when Sid goes down or out.
That is true.
So
as best year was when Sid was out for the year and he had his surgery for his neck, and that was a big deal. And he was amazing that season as well.
Yep. So I think he's gonna turn it around, and I don't necessarily think he's gonna be Gino of 5 years ago, but I think he's gonna start to play as well as he can for his age now. And we saw an improvement in his game over the course of the last couple of weeks. It wasn't anything mind blowing, but he was slowly taking steps to positive productivity on the ice, as opposed to really stupid turnovers and errors and just looking slow overall.
Well, I'm hoping that not only will the Penguins win tonight, but the Penguins will find a way to win without giving the other team a point by winning in regular overtime, because it seems to be the only way they know how to win now. But at least they're winning.
That's the one. It's the one benefit.
Yeah, and coming back from those deficits in the third too. I mean, they're an exciting team to watch this year.
They are, with the exception of the game on Sunday. They have been all of their games have been stressful and thrilling. So there's that. And I don't necessarily think they're going to, play for a cup this year, but as long as they give us exciting hockey to watch, that's really all I care about.
Yeah.
When it comes down to it. So it's good stuff.
Well, I'll be watching tonight. And you said 15% capacity or 50% capacity?
15.
15.
So
okay.
It's pretty low, but 2,800 people, that'll make a difference.
It will. It will. Mm-hmm. Oh, it could actually be the Flyers' year. I hope not.
No, it's not their year.
No. Well, that's all the time we have. We made it to the end of the show, ladies and gentlemen, here for Steeler Nation. Thanks again for sticking with us, asking questions. We love the automatic feedback as we're going. And as you see, like, I read off the board as much as I can, because I think it's fun. I like to talk with Steeler Nation as we're doing this show. And everybody, if you want to follow, you got to follow Jordan here on social media at Fidge Newton, both for Twitter and Instagram. That's at FIDGENEWTON. She is also the host of the Yinzhers Podcast, the sister station of the SteelerNation.com podcast. Follow them on Instagram at Yinzhers Official, YINZHERSOFFICIAL. Twitter and Facebook at Yinzhers. So looking forward. Do you have another one, a date set yet? Or are you still working on finalizing the dates?
For Yinzhers, we're doing Thursday at 9 p.m. We're going to be sitting down virtually with Charlotte Hayward, Cam Hayward's mom.
Awesome.
Cannot wait. It's going to be awesome.
Yep. And Steeler Nation, that'll be across the board here too. We're going to have that on Facebook, Steeler Nation Facebook, Steeler Nation.com for Facebook. Going to have it on our YouTube channel, which is Steeler Nation. And we're going to have it on, I don't know if it's going to be on the Yinzhers Twitter, or if it's going to be on the mothership for Steeler Nation, at Steeler Nation, but it will be on one or the other for our Twitter users. This is probably one of the most fun interviews to watch. These girls, they knocked it out of the park with Juju Smith-Schuster's mother. Got to talk to Juju and Bougie as well in the first episode. Second episode,
stuff.
Yeah, getting Brooke Pryor excited about everything to talk about. I mean, she was such a joy to listen to.
She's wonderful.
Yeah, could be covering the beat for the Steelers there for ESPN. She is an amazing woman. And so we look forward to talking with Miss Hayward then coming up here on Thursday night at 9:00.
Yes, sir.
Steeler fans, put it on your watch. Put it on your alarms. We'll talk to you soon. Yeah. YouTube, same as our podcast for the Yinzhers as well. It's youtube.com/Steeler Nation. Steeler Nation, ladies and gentlemen, we've got gear on our page for SteelerNation.com. Get geared up. I'm going to share just so you guys can see our awesome designs here. We have all these Yinzhers designs for hoodies, for t-shirts. Come on down. We got the Steeler Nation podcast. We got the Nation. Steeler Nation established 1933. You got the 6-pack of Lombardis. You got the defense, showing fans how to rep since 1933. The terrible towel. And of course, my favorite over here, the Champions jersey and the Oh Mama jersey for our Renegade startup. And we got some koozies for $6 if you just want to throw in a little extra thing there. Go to the SteelerNation.com gear page. Show your support. Show your support of Steeler Nation and show your Steeler Nation pride at all of your virtual, non-virtual Pittsburgh events. Read our great articles at SteelerNation.com. Tweet us at Steeler Nation. Instagram us at SteelerNation.com. Follow the Steeler Nation podcast on Twitter at _SN Podcast. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at SN Striker, Striker spelled with a Y. And thank you once again, Steeler Nation, for joining us again on the SteelerNation.com podcast, sponsored by Total Sports Enterprises. I'm your host, G.Stryker, with Jordan DeFigio of the Ladies Yinzhers Podcast, rooting along with you as always. Go
Steelers!